Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome back to today's Tolkien Times, a Prancing Pony podcast production. I'm the Man of the West. Let's go ahead and keep week 85 going with another Word Nerd Wednesday. Now, I'm going to continue with the new tradition of using these Word Nerd Wednesdays to look at some of the new names and words that we've encountered, or will soon encounter, in our Túrin Turambar Tuesday readings, and a bonus one from our Tuor readings today, too. Now, first up is a new place. At the beginning of yesterday's selection, we read that Morwen, Nienor, and Mablung, after passing over Sirion at the Meres of Twilight, after 3 days journeying, they came to Amon Ethir, the hill of spies that long ago Felagund had caused to be raised with great labor a league before the doors of Nargothrond. Essentially, Finrod, thinking about keeping this place secret, builds not a tower or other artificial structure to use for scouting, but a hill. Great labor indeed. But it's perfect, really. I mean, it's a hill. It's sort of camouflaged just in and of itself. And it's 3 miles away from the gate. That's a league. So it would give his troops the ability to spot movement easily and in time. But we're not here for that. We are here for the word nerdery. It's a Wednesday after all. And once again, Tolkien gives us the meaning of the name right away. Amon Ethir, the hill of spies. And that's because it's precisely the translation. Amon for hill, and we see this regularly along with its plural Amen, and Ethir, glossed as spy. But that's not enough for me. Why is Ethir glossed as spy, I wonder? Well, let's look at that. The word has 2 elements. The first is ed, which means out of or out. And we actually see that in a few places in mutated form. Ekor, outer circle, is made up of the element ed plus kor for circle. Ed gets mutated to ek there. Similarly, and this was interesting, another word that's spelled and pronounced exactly the same, Ethir, but not meaning spy, meaning instead mouth of a river, like Ethir Anduin. And there it's the ed element for out of, and the sir element for river or stream, and the latter element mutates as well. So that's the ed part of Ethir, out or out of, spy. The second element is tir, meaning to look towards, watch over, or guard. And now you're thinking exactly what I'm thinking. Minas Tirith, tower of guard. Tir, so ed, out of, along with tir, watch over, guard. So maybe a more literal translation would be lookout hill. Now, we've already covered Nienor's name in week 76. Her name means morning, as we talked about yesterday as well, and it's related to the element nie, meaning tir, an element that is also in the name of Nienna. But it's cognate with the name that Túrin gave her in yesterday's readings, Niniel, and there's that tir element, along with the feminine suffix el that is so common, like Gladriel, Tinuviel, and even Beruthiel. The nie element is a modified form of the root nin for weeping, and we see that in a gnomish name, which is one of the predecessor languages, for the Nirnaeth Arnoediad back in Lost Tales 2, when it was called Ninin Udathriol, unnumbered tears. Now, we have also covered the names of some of the other places and people in yesterday's reading, including Mablung of the Heavy Hand, Morwen, and even Glaurung. And since we have a little bit of time left, I'm going to go back to a couple of Fridays ago when Tuor encountered the elves, Arminas and Gelmir. Now, at the end of that reading, Gelmir bid him farewell by saying, Anar Kaluva Tilyanna, which means the sun shall shine upon your path. But let's take a look at the word nerdery on that, shall we? Anar is simply the Quenya name for the sun, connected with the root nar, meaning fire. Now we've seen that in Anarian's name, son of the sun, along with others. Next up is the verb in this sentence, kaluva. Now I suspect the K here is left over from the days before Tolkien converted all of his Ks to Cs, because the verb is kal with a C, and it means to shine, as in kalima. The uva suffix puts this in the future tense. Remember when we did word nerdery on my favorite line in the legendarium, Aure and Tuluva? That same uva ending there, day shall come again. Not that it's here now, but that it will come. So that's Anar Kaluva, meaning the sun will shine. That brings us to Tielianna, meaning upon your path. Now, the root element here is tie, meaning path, road, way, or line. We do actually find that root once in The Lord of the Rings, at least once that I could find, and it's in Galadriel's lament. There's a line there where she says, Ar ilye tier undulave lumbule, which means and all paths are drowned in shadow. Tier being the plural for paths, plural, as opposed to tie, the singular. But how do we get to tieliana from just tie? Possessive pronouns and an allative suffix, of course. The second person singular possessive, like you, okay, that's the second person, your, like your hat or your house. Now, the second person singular possessive actually has two forms. The second person singular possessive is your, right? Your hat, your house. But there are two forms. There's tia, which is the familiar your, and lia, L-Y-A, which is the polite or deferential you. So if Gelmir really knew Tuor closely, he might have said anar kaluva tietiana, not tieliana. So L-Y-A is the second person polite possessive, your path. Then there's the allative suffix, the NNA at the end. Now, we've touched on this a couple of times. That NNA suffix indicates motion towards the declined noun. So endrenna in Elendil's oath means to Middle Earth. Or elensila lumen omentielvo, a star shines on the hour of our meeting. In that one, the A is dropped from the NNA because the next word starts with a vowel. So, anar sun, kal shine, uva will shine. Ta path, lia, L-Y-A, second person polite singular possessive your, and NNA to, anar kaluva tieliana. And folks, that is it for today's Word Nerd Wednesday. Come back next week as we wander the wide, wild, wonderful world of words weekly on Wednesdays. And if there is a word that you want to know more about, please just let me know by emailing barliman@theprancingponypodcast.com. Now, please visit patreon.com/TolkienTimes to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, a monthly hangout with me, a bonus weekly episode, and a lot more. And then join me again tomorrow on today's Tolkien Times for Third Age Thursday. Podcast listeners, please be sure to subscribe to the show in your podcast apps. For those on YouTube, subscribe to the channel to get all of the PP productions as we bring the entire back catalog of the PPP, along with my new streaming project, The PPP Plays. And be sure you're following @PrancingPonyPod on social media. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.